Warning: Kingdom Death contains mature content, be it in its story themes and or its images. While while videos involving Kingdom Death Monster may not contain specifically mature content in them, the game does, and thus, if these videos generate interest for it, you've been warned that that is what it will lead to. If this does not bother you, please enjoy the video. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to this board game overview video for Kingdom Death Monsters Fighting Arts. Now, in the video I do mistakenly refer to them as fighting styles a lot, and I just wanted to clarify that right now, but they're all fighting arts, not that there are fighting styles in the game. This is one of my videos, early videos, where I will be going very in-depth, as there's a lot of intricacies with these, and while they're all minute things to change the game for the most part, or the individual survivor, I should say, sometimes how they interact with each other or other things can be amazing. I won't be saying, like, where to get some specific one of these, because really a lot of them you're just going to get randomly, and the chance to get specific ones is a little hard. I will be mentioning a couple of those. This is not Secret Fighting Arts, just normal ones. Those will be covered where they come up. So, without further ado, let's get to these cards.
First off, we've got Ambidextrous. So, this results in all melee weapons in your gear grid gain paired. Now, that still means that they need to be the same weapon, and pretty much it means that all one-handers result in you can attack with one and add this and double the speed. It specifically says, can't be used if there are any shields, two-handed, or heavy gear in your gear grids. This does not mean not using. They can't be there at all. Otherwise, it's pretty nice. It's definitely meant for a fast-moving kind of build. Berserker. Once per showdown, you may spend one action to suffer Bash and the Frenzied Brain Trauma, which is pretty nice, especially if you manage to become immune to Bash, since Frenzy shouldn't go away. Make sure you're built for this, otherwise it's kinda bad. Clutch Fighter. While you have 3 or more bleeding tokens, gain 1 strength and 1 accuracy. This plus Unconscious Fire or Last Man Standing can be really nice, although keep in mind Last Man Standing means you can't gain anymore. It just means you don't have to worry about dying from the other 2, or 4 in the case of Unconscious Fighter. Combo Master. On a perfect hit, make 1 additional melee attack roll. Keep in mind, this is not limited to once per attack, so this can be really, really nasty. Especially combined with spears, because then you might not have to worry about the trap so much. Crazed. On a perfect hit, gain +1 insanity. Sweet, simple, to the point. Crossarm Block. Whenever you are hit after the hit locations are rolled, you may change 1 result to the arm location. Really nice. You can literally be a character that just goes out with arm gear over everything else. And not to say that you shouldn't complete whole sets or anything like that, but this means you can wear those and let other people wear the other slots first. Double Dash. During your act, once per round, you may spend an action to gain a movement. This does also mean you can turn a surge into a movement. Extra Sense. You may dodge 1 additional time per round. This is always awesome. Keep in mind, this still costs the survival to dodge the extra time. Last Man Standing, as I referenced to before. While you're the only survivor on the showdown board, you may not gain any bleed tokens or be knocked down. Now keep in mind, this says on the showdown board, not the last one alive. So the other survivors could have just run away or anything like that. Leader. I don't really understand why this is placed under Fighting Arts, but it is. It's not really a fighting art, it's just more... The same thing with Strategists. It's just kind of odd that they label them as Fighting Arts. Whenever you encourage a survivor, they gain +1 speed token until the end of the round. This is really disgusting with drums, because then you encourage everyone with 1 encourage. Once per hunt phase, you may inspire another survivor. They use your understanding and courage to resolve a hunt or story event. Example is doing so for Overwhelming Darkness. Mighty Strike. I love that this has a Twilight, or somebody who looks kind of like a Twilight Knight on it, although that does not look like a Twilight Star, because you can learn this from the Hooded Knight, who is, well, a Twilight Knight. On a perfect hit, gain 2 strength until the end of the attack. Keep in mind, this means if one of your hits is a perfect hit, you get plus 2 damage for resolving all those hit locations. Or plus 2 strength, not damage, sorry. A Monster Claw style, my personal favorite fighting art. Your Fist and Tooth attack gains plus 1 accuracy, plus 1 strength, and Savage. For those that don't know, Savage is, on your first crit per attack, do an extra damage. Orator of Death. Once per showdown, you may spend an action to have all non-death survivors gain 2 insanity. Whenever you die, you encourage all survivors with your last words. Or it can make for some interesting builds, but really, unless you're up against something like the Phoenix or something where you need insanity, it's kind of meh. Rhythm Chaser. On arrival, gain plus 1 evasion token. When you're knocked down, if you don't have any instruments in your gear grid, remove all plus 1 evasion tokens. Rhythm Chaser cannot be used if there's any heavy gear in your grid. So, pretty much, if you've got extra ways of gaining evasion tokens, this is amazing. But even then, it's still good. Try to carry an instrument, although that might make you worry about Hunt Event 10. But that's only 1 out of 100. Strategist. During the showdown, set up after placing terrain, you may add 1 giant stone face or 1 topple pillar terrain card to the showdown board. Personally, I always had a giant stone face, but I've only done about half the fights still, as I'm not just reading ahead and spoiling stuff till I either get to a video recording or until I am actually doing the fight with my friends. Topple pillar, I imagine, can be useful if there's things where you absolutely need to get out of its line of sight. Tumble. When someone would collide with you, roll a d10. On a 6+, so 50-50, you successfully tumble out of harm's way. Instead, place your survivor standing on the closest free space outside of the collision path. This means if the monster's going to run into you, if somebody's going to then collide into you because they're dealing with collision, or anything along those lines, doesn't matter what it is, you get out of the way half the time. Great against the Screaming Antelope. Thrill Seeker. Whenever you gain survival during the showdown phase, gain 1 additional survival. Great if you can find a regular means of gaining survival. I don't know if arrival counts for this or if arrival officially is before the showdown. But if it is, that means gain an extra from it. Timeless Eye. Your attack roll is a perfect hit on a 9 or a 10. Can't be used if you're blind. Now keep in mind, you don't lose it. And it specifically says the severe heavy injury. So if something is mimicking blind, you might be able to keep it, but Roll of Death would say no. And like I said, you don't lose it. So if you manage to fix your blindness, you get to use this again. It's nice, but unless you've got something to pair it with, like something else for perfect hits, including bone daggers, it's kind of eh. Tough. When rolling on a severe injury table, unless you roll a 1, add 1 to the result. This does not include brain trauma, and the result can never exceed 10. 2 notes. 1, if you do roll a 1, even adding a 1 won't save you, because 2 is the same thing on all of them. And 2, of course you can't exceed a 10. There's nothing past 10. There is on the brain trauma, but you specifically can't use this for the brain trauma, just like you can't use Accept the Darkness, not on brain trauma. And lastly, we have Unconscious Fighter, which I mentioned before. It takes 7 bleed tokens to kill you. That's actually really awesome against certain things. Otherwise, if it's not bleeding, whatever. Although, I'm going to tell you now, I'll get to it when I get to the hunt events. There's a funny result if you're a male and come across a certain hunt event and have this. Alright everyone, I hope this was helpful. If it was, feel free to press the like button. If you think somebody else will enjoy it, feel free to share this video. If you didn't like this video or it wasn't helpful, feel free to press the dislike button. I won't mind, but please try to leave a constructive comment as to why you disliked it. Also, feel free to comment in general, and if you want to see more like this, be it more board game overview videos, my painting videos, or some reviews, which I'm trying to get to doing more of, and anything else I might do on this channel, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye.